Hello there everyone, welcome back to our Haas Hard Challenge. And we have started Season 2. It started, I guess we could say, with the first race, Red Bull having a slight edge on us. But we did win the race with Magnussen, and Hulkenberg just didn't have the best race, ended up in 7th. So, one of the things that has been mentioned is that I might be a little bit too addicted to aggressive and attack strategies. And honestly, that's true. So, what would be interesting too is that we might try and employ less attacking and aggressive strategies and see if we can come up with strategies say that would still work while taking away that aggressive component. We also have a fairly new car here still. We did get a delay that kind of slowed things down. I have started a new suspension design here. We'll have a look at the differences when it's done. But basically, we sacrifice some of that brake cooling that is currently at about 81%. Once we get our parts on, we're going to lose about 6% of that for a little bit more top speed. And I think we'll do that for probably a few of these parts where we are going to be readjusting them a little bit to figure out exactly what is going to be the best combination of brake cooling, engine cooling, and, well, pure performance. Because right now, we are the best cornering car. We're not the best accelerating or DRS car, which is fine. But compared to the Red Bull, we're over 3 kph behind. That is problematic, but I do believe we also haven't put the rear wing on. So, if you consider the fact that it's without the rear wing, that's actually pretty good. So, we're going to get these designed, or rather manufactured, before we go into Saudi Arabia. And that should make things a little bit easier. Now, as I said here, I did kind of start a project here, the suspension, without recording. So, my apologies for that. I could have cancelled, but again, we'll have a look at the differences. It's probably going to be one that we will use, but at the same time, it's one that is basically a middle ground or sidestep, if you will. We could pay overtime to get the underfloor done in time, and I think we're going to do that. It's just 300,000. It's nothing for us. Well, it's not nothing. We don't have a ton of money, but we have decent money. And with that, we can actually get one of those underfloors done. Potentially here, if we have manufacturing slots, that is, for Saudi Arabia. So let's go ahead and see. And of course, we are Haas, which also leads us to another little bit of an issue with this. So this isn't a huge upgrade, but as you can see, it's still a decent one at this stage of the game. But the main thing here is it's going to take us a lot of time to get these manufactured. So we're not getting it for Jeddah. We're actually getting them for Melbourne instead. But again, we're Haas. We have so many sponsorships that do hamper us that it's something that I've kind of gotten accustomed to. And I can't even get upset about it anymore. It's just life. Okay, let's see development. Adaptability. I am not surprised. It is our favorite stat to develop, as it turns out. Yeah, we're going to go ahead here and start a new design. We have done underfloors. I think we're going to start working a little bit on the rear wing. It's usually one of the parts that I end up neglecting the most. So, I want to try and focus on getting a little bit of cornering ability into this rear wing. And again, we have another rear wing. This isn't going to be the end result. This could be an interesting one. We might actually make 3 rear wing designs for high speed, medium, and low speed cornering ability, just to make things a little bit easier. We are going to make it standard. I do want to check though, just to be on the safe side, that we have user CFD time. It's just 3 days until we get more. And honestly, it would be tempting to use CFD time on the rear wing, I think. It's either that or, suspension. Chassis, side pods, if they're far behind, we could do that too. But I think we're actually going to just save it for the rear wing. When is the next project? So yeah, 3 days. We can wait 3 days before we start the next project. That is absolutely fine. But currently, our pit crew has reached well rested, which is great, which means that we'll be working on lowering the error chance a little bit. We also are going to have to, well, fix the pit stop times because they are incredibly slow. That is a problem. So this does pose a tiny bit of a challenge for us. That is the best way I can describe it. We're going to try and just kind of manage everything here so we kind of retain where we are. And it seems like we are doing a good job of that right now. 4%. This should be safe. And we'll just, again, go into pit crew. Really schedule after Jeddah. But so far, after Jeddah here, we're going to have a little bit higher chance of mistake, mainly due to being tired. But we are getting some of the other stats down. So we will accept this as our pit crew training for now. We have got a decent guy here in per main to help develop. Develop? develop that pit crew. Let's just head towards the race weekend. I think we have everything kind of sorted here. We've got side pods made. We have a slot available to us. What do we want to make? We have suspensions. We have 2 side pods. We have the chassis. I think our best bet is just to make more side pods. So let's get that underway. Next up, we're going to have the rear wings done. And we should actually just put them on the car when we can, because it does seem to have an effect on your fatigue, particularly if you do it during a race weekend. It's probably safe if you don't do it within the race weekend itself. But again, the fatigue doesn't actually seem to update until the race weekend itself is done. So as you can see here, this one here is going to boost us pretty effectively up the ladder. It's going to make us not the slowest team anymore. It's going to make us a little bit better in terms of DRS effectiveness. So we'll go ahead and install that on car 1. We're going to get one for both, and we'll have a look and see how we kind of square up against the other cars once it is done. We have a new ATR period, and as I said, we kind of do want to try and invest this one into that rear wing. Want to get that extra bit of top speed, and potentially also a little bit of cornering ability would be nice, but it's not something that is desperately needed, is what I'm thinking. So while getting, say, medium speed cornering, which I think is one of our weakest facets, up, I'd rather focus on getting drag reduction DRS delta a little bit higher, although we are already getting high up there. Getting the expertise slightly higher can be very, very beneficial. So yeah, we'll do it like this. Probably not the absolute best use of my, safety time. We're also going to go ahead and rush it for 6 engineers on it, because there's no reason not to on a wind tunnel CFD project. But yeah, probably not the best use of our resources, but I want a good rear wing. That's what I have kind of decided on here. Okay. There we are. What do we want to do in terms of goals? We can actually... Oh, I thought for a second that we couldn't go lower than 8, but 8 was what was expected of us. So I think we're going to make it very simple here. Both cars top 10, basically both cars Q3, both cars Q2. You know me, that is the easiest way to do things, I feel. And with that, let's jump into Saudi Arabia. Let's see if we can actually have a good race on a high deck track. For that though, I do need to put the new car part on, which is, again, probably a little bit late to do. But it is something that we are going to need to do. And I'm just going to go ahead and double check that we have every single part installed on both cars. And this is also probably the reason for Magnussen's superior performance in that first race. He did have better parts, straight up. Now, in terms of our current, showing against the rest of the grid, we're still really good on brake cooling. We aren't as great on engine, bad at dirty air, but we have the best DRS. We have the best cornering. Top speed is still lacking compared to the rest of the squads here. And compared to Red Bull, we're still way behind. So we're going to have to do a little bit of moving around some numbers in order to make it very competitive. But as you can see here, the medium speed, we have a fairly sizable advantage, decent advantage here. The low speed one is the one that we have a huge advantage over the Red Bull. And again, dirty air tolerance, brake cooling, engine cooling. If you're 60, great. If you're any higher, amazing. But honestly, 60 is really all you need. So yeah, with that, let's head to the race weekend itself, and hopefully we can keep on with another banger result. Qualifying has completed, and with equal cars, Magnussen puts it on the front row. But we are pretty close there to the Red Bulls. And honestly, Verstappen did have better times and could probably have knocked us out with relative ease. So I am a little bit worried here. Hulkenberg's times are fairly consistent. Magnussen's do fluctuate wildly. And as I said, both Verstappen and Perez had worse times in Q3 than they did Q2. And that benefited Magnussen massively here, because if not, he'd be probably starting third. First and fifth, though, is not a bad way to start in terms of fighting the Red Bulls. And as I said, I am tempted to do a little bit of a cheeky strategy here. Probably something with a soft into, rather a medium into a soft is what I'm thinking. We do something like this. And we are going to run this one, probably not full attack, aggressive I think is going to be enough maybe. Start of the race. And then we'll run this one a little bit conservative. Now, is this strategy gonna work very well? Probably not, but it is a good strategy available to us. We could, of course, go with something a little bit more standard, which would be something like this. It is an aggressive strategy, but it's one that we know to kind of work. But I want to try a bit more cautious strategies, if you will. So we'll try something like this. We'll see how it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it works, it works. But I want to kind of test things out. And as I said, we are going to tune down to aggressive before the first lap. We are going to kind of have to run attack just to not lose too many positions. So this is going to be an interesting test. And honestly, Jeddah is a good place to test this because tire deck is very, very noticeable here. If you go too hot, you can very, very quickly ruin your tires completely. So yeah, I think this is a good testing ground for basically trying out some more standard strategies. Because in this case, an attack strategy wouldn't work anyways, so why not take the chance to experiment? Verstappen on soft tires. That is a interesting choice, but probably one that might give him the lead here at the start of the race. Not quite yet, but he was close. Hulkenberg, he's made it up into 4th ahead of the Ferrari, and we're actually just going to tune both of them down to aggressive at this point. It's a little bit soon, I know, but we're tuning them down in order to try and save a little bit of tire. Verstappen has overtaken Magnussen. That shouldn't come as a huge surprise. He did end up winning out there, and that was actually quite a good sequence, I'd argue. But yeah, I'd like for us to settle in behind Verstappen. Hulkenberg is struggling already to kind of keep up with the Red Bull train on full attack. But yeah, if we can stay with Verstappen, that would be great. We might need Hulkenberg to just run full attack to close the gap a little bit. And I think we don't really have much of a choice but to do it. They are going to slow down at one point. But we're going to try and run attack here, see if we can at least detach Alonso from him and the Ferrari, but it doesn't look like that is going to be really viable. So from this point on, we turn back down to standard. We're going to go with, as I said, a bit more of a basic strategy. But I think the Red Bulls just do have an inherent advantage here. They are going to be quite a lot quicker. So we'll have to see how this works. As I said, we might try and take advantage of the final stint being a bit more of a calm stint, if you will. To do something like this, get on early. Basically, once we get here, we do full attack, and then we pit. That could be actually what we end up doing, because that should allow us to pit a little bit before everyone else. Magnussen has been overtaken, Hulkenberg has been overtaken, and before now, we're just going to sit back and kind of just relax before the first pit stop. But I think we are going to try at least to start incorporate some more standard tactics where we do run standard, light, maybe even conserve into our repertoire, because so far it's mostly consisted of one thing only: attack. And we have had a safety car here. We're currently running 3rd and 5th, but this is basically gonna change the race up a little bit, and we are gonna have to make a strategic choice. So currently this does somewhat open it up for us to do something else, but the safest bet would just be to jump on the hard tire. That means that we are gonna have to just straight up, you know, play the Red Bulls. It is viable. The other strategy that I had in mind is that we do hard, but we go very aggressive on them, and we get onto a soft tire at the end. So basically, a very, very aggressive strategy. Can it work? It's potentially 13 seconds quicker than this one, so it can work, but it's going to require us to clear the cars in front of us really, really quickly. So we're just going to turn both of them to full attack. We are going to gamble on this. Again, I did say we're going to run some standard things into our repertoire, but we have ended up in a situation right now where we could benefit massively from getting some good pit stops. Now, we do spend 3 seconds on pit stops, so Hulkenberg is going to be in for a world of pain, but with how the field is stacked up here, we shouldn't lose too much. Like, we'll lose probably a position to Alonso, but that is a position that we can regain once we actually get things back underway. Let's see what happened. Esteban Ocon. Is this going to be Alpine on Alpine violence? Looks like it, and that is for sure an entirely new car. Holy. Classic Alpine. But yeah, we are getting into the pits here. The main one that we are interested in is going to be Hulkenberg. Where does he come out? Can Magnussen jump anyone? I kind of doubt that we're going to be able to jump any of the Red Bulls, but we'll do our best here. Yeah, that's the slow stop. Leclerc actually did jumpers as well, so... But yeah, as expected, Alonso did jumpers. I think we had a little bit of a... He even had a pit stop issue and beat us, so... Yeah, we're going to have to work on those pit stops, because this is kind of when that would have been very, very important. But, as I said here, we expected to lose position with Hulkenberg. We stayed where we were with Magnussen, but Leclerc had a good pit stop and jumped both of us. So that is a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, for now, we'll just allow the cars to kind of do their thing here. We're going to recharge, or, well, both basically try and get a little bit extra charge in there. And we are going to be running, as I said, full attack here and trying to make something out of this. And we are doing this on the hard tires. That is the only reason why we're running full attack. We're probably going to end up running these softs on standard rather than anything else. But by running full attack on Haas is usually good, because degradation will usually be lower than anticipated. So we can only hope that is going to be the case here too. Now everyone, except for Perez, Norris, Bottas, and potentially someone further back here, since we can't see, have elected for hard tires. So they're going to stay on these till the end, which means they're going to have to take good care of them, and that they're going to be somewhat compromised towards the end. So that is going to make things a little bit more interesting. Is safety car coming in this lap? No. I don't know why I thought it was. That is my bad. But yeah, let's speed along here. This safety car restart is actually going to be fairly important. And we are getting there.
Safety car is going to come in this lap.
This is going to be incredibly important for both our drivers. The quicker they clear these cars in front, the better. And let's see here if Magnussen can, with a little bit of deploy, and with a little bit of deploy of Hulkenberg too, get it done. It is potentially a bad idea to deploy early though, because they'll use energy and then slow down if it's before the line. But we'll see how we do with this restart here. Magnussen, immediately looking for an attack. Not really getting into a good position, neither did Hulkenberg. Magnussen actually get overtaken there by Perez, who is on the soft tire, so it's somewhat understandable. But yeah, not the greatest of restarts there from our boys. But yeah, as I said, goal here is incredibly simple. We are going to try and get as much out of these hard tires as we can, in terms of pains, in terms of overtakes, and hopefully we'll be able to create a little bit of a gap out front for when we do pit onto a soft tire. We've just been hit with the worst safety car in the history of safety cars, maybe ever. It appeared the second we went past the pit line, and there's really nothing we can do here other than just pit ourselves, I think. So Russell versus McLaren gets whacked in the wall, and he kind of gets stuck there in the middle of the track. But yeah, that does put us in an incredibly compromised position, because I think we're going to be losing a ton of places here to that safety car. Because as you can see, everyone else is pitting, but we might be safe, because we're limited right now in terms of how quickly you can drive. So it's a shame that both our drivers are inside each other again, or running next to each other. It is gonna allow us to lose potentially positions, and we did kind of do that there with both of them really. And we are gonna have to kind of run way more conservative right now to keep these tires alive, because we'll be running these till the end. So conserve should be able to do that, particularly with the safety car in play too. But we now have a straight up fight versus Red Bulls, who have elected to go for the same strategy. So the question here is just going to be who is better at taking care of their tires, who's going to be able to get the most out of the tires in this situation. Let's speed along to the end of the safety car. The safety car is ending, and I'm a little bit undecided on what to do here. I think we just do this because we are going to have to deal with the tires at one point. Running light could be a little bit negative, but we'll have to see here how it ends up working out. We do have confidence on both of our drivers, which is good. But yeah, that Red Bull is kind of attacking us very aggressively. But we need these tires to last, and that is going to be the key to kind of getting a good result by the end of this race. Currently, Magnussen is doing okay, but yeah, Verstappen is probably going to get away. Hulkenberg is kind of struggling too at this point. I have to turn him out to standard. 16 laps to go. Let's have a quick look here on the life expectancy of a tire with 16 laps to go. So, can run standard, can run aggressive. So I think we just tuned both up to standard for now. And then we'll go full attack towards the end. I think that's going to be the play. And for Hulkenberg here, we might need to get him within DRS distance again to have a fighting chance. Verstappen with the fastest lap of the race. But yeah, we have kind of settled in here at the moment. There's nothing much we can really do other than just kind of bide our time. Try and stay with the Red Bulls. Hulkenberg is just not capable of getting that done right now. And we're also running out of energy, which is going to make that job even harder. So he's probably going to be fighting here for 4th place. And Magnussen will be fighting the 2 Red Bulls kind of on his own here, unless they drastically start losing tires. So, bit of a fight ahead of us. Let's see how it looks once we get closer till the end of the race itself. Unfortunately, we have gotten a little bit stuck. Magnussen is behind Perez. We don't have too much time left, but at this point, we probably have enough that we can go full attack. So what I'm thinking is that we're going to go full attack now. And we're going to try and just get by Perez here and create the gap. And I think Magnussen has what it takes to get that done with the help of energy. Might even be able to catch Verstappen if we're lucky. So that is going to be the goal. And by creating the gap here, hopefully, Perez is actually kind of sticking to us really, really well. Incredibly well. He might even overtake us here. Yeah, that is going to be a bit of an issue. We're going to have to do a little bit of recharging. So yeah, we're basically fighting, as you might expect here, Perez for 2nd and 3rd on the podium. No way we're getting Verstappen. Perez is actually playing a really, really good wingman game here. That's the best way I can describe it. So let's see here if we can get both cars past. As I said, going to be a little bit of a challenge, but not really much else we can do other than just take it as a challenge and try our best to kind of deal with that. So Hulkenberg here will be giving the attack order on this lap, and we'll be trying to, as I said, kind of create the gap here. We'd like to have DRS on the main straight if possible, so we're not going to get that. We need to pull away though, so let's just use energy to make that happen. And hopefully we can now, on the final lap, get something done. And we'll allow Magnussen to just go all in. That is kind of what we're going to have to do here. Fuel-wise, we should be good. Push-wise, we should be fine. As long as Hulkenberg here manages to create the gap to Perez, most of the job would be done. But it has to happen soon. We're getting very close to our final DRS detection zone of ours, and he has pulled the gap. Now, Magnussen, can you get the overtake done into the final corner? And you can, actually. So that was really, really nice. So while Verstappen win, we do end up 2nd and 3rd, so not a terrible race.
That's a checkered flag, mate.
That's kind of Verstappen for you, though, particularly on hard difficulty. He's still going to just destroy you, because that is Verstappen. That is what Verstappen does. But the Alpines are going to have a bad year already because of that crash. They basically have both their cars totaled by that. But yeah, in this one, probably not the best race we've ever had. We'll have a look exactly how we squared up in a second. But yeah, we squeezed between the Red Bulls for the podiums. And we have Alonso, Leclerc, Sainz, Norris, Stroll, and Hamilton. And yeah, with that, Verstappen takes 1st place in the championship. Magnussen down to 2nd. Hulkenberg up to 4th. And yeah, they do extend the gap by 5 points. So we're actually going to have a bit of an interesting fight here, is kind of the vibe I'm getting. But honestly, we probably didn't have the best Jedi race we could have had. We did get delays on paths before that. And I do believe that Jedi is one of my weaker tracks because it is not very aggressive or attack friendly. It's the best way I can actually describe it. So, as you might expect, that would be good. Apparently, we already had damage to front wing and suspension. So, yeah, just 2 races and those need a replacement. That is not very good, particularly for a suspension. But not much we can do about that. We're just going to have to manufacture a new one. We're going to have to manufacture new front wings as well. If we have the, capability, we do. Let's get 3 of those made. And my next move is going to be to have a quick look at the pick route. So we were expected to be at 32%. Currently, we are at, just 2% over. So it does work kind of like I expected. Basically, switching your engine, your gearbox, and your ERS at the race weekend itself is going to come with an massive drawback in terms of increased fatigue. That is also one of the reasons why the AI probably outrunning their cars on the ground. It causes less fatigue gain, you could put it. And also, because of the fact that, as I said, you get a try yourself. Try a race weekend where you switch every component, a race weekend where you don't switch anything. And you'll probably be seeing, at the very least at the start of the season, the same thing that you're seeing here, where you get 1 or 2% more fatigue than anticipated. And that is basically from the pit stops. The pit stops themselves cause about a percentage of fatigue each. So if the weekend is expecting you to do a 1-stop, which is what you expect for Saudi Arabia, but you do a 2-stopper, you end up with about 34% instead of 32%. It makes sense. And that is kind of the scary part, because that means we can actually, to some degree, calculate just how much fatigue we are gaining and losing. And as I said, most of your fatigue gains will be from switching components. So they have technically nerfed that. They made it so you have to choose between running bad components or having a bad pick crew. You basically have to pick one of those evils. So it is not great. We're just going to do it this way. It's very simple. Getting a little bit more here on the training summaries here. A little bit lower time. Probably should focus purely on the pace of time for a while here. But we don't have that luxury. Yeah, we should have, I believe, 1 new path for Australia and underfloor maybe. But let's just get these manufacturing projects going. Push share levels up to 80. We've got the suspension made. I believe that is the final one too, so that should be good. New design for the chassis. Is this something we want to manufacture? Is this one where I sacrifice a bit of cornering ability, honestly? It's not a lot, but it does give us a lot of top speed back. I am kind of tempted to manufacture this one, but probably not use it on high-speed tracks. Let's just go back into design for a second and see if we can make something that it would be better, is what I'm thinking. We do have safety time that I want to use on the rear wing, so I did not use it on the rear wing because I'm a doofus who didn't actually use it. I guess I should go into the front wing then. That would make more sense. But yeah, the rear wing didn't actually get the safety time. That explains why I thought the stats gains were so low. And someone has already probably yelled at me. I'm sorry. I am a klutz. I've been at work today. I'm a little bit, well, I can't even say that I'm kind of dizzy. I'm just a little bit tired is all. So that's the main reason. We'll just go with this. It's, again, more cornering gains. And we'll add a little bit of weight here to make it live for a little bit longer. And again, this one is not the important one. The next one is. So we did actually end up wasting a bit of money with our rear wing. But it's all good. We'll have to figure out what we do with the chassis probably next design. Because again, I hate losing cornering ability for, well, anything really. But sacrifice some brake cooling. Some airflow sensitivity. That's not a problem at all. And manufacturing is complete here. Front wings, side pods. What else are we manufacturing at the moment? I believe it is nothing. So we've basically kind of caught up now. And we can install this new thing on both cars. So I think we're just going to go ahead and make 2 of them normally. Going to go ahead and have a look here where we're at. We need a rear wing. We're probably not going to use the one we're currently making. So let's go ahead and just make 3. That way we should be covered for a little bit. Front wings we're good on. Again, chassis, this one would be nice. It does give a huge amount of kph compared to the drawbacks. But at the same time, it's expensive to make. So I think we'll just leave it be. Do another iteration or see if we can do something else to make it a little bit easier for ourselves. But yeah, let us head to our next race we can here in Australia. It should be a fairly good time. This is one of those tracks where you can run a little bit aggressive. So I'm hoping that we can take advantage of that. Unless I am misremembering again. But yeah, we'll have a look at that, what we can do strategic-wise in just a moment. Qualifying in Australia has come to an end. We qualified 2nd and 4th, just behind the Red Bulls, beaten by thousands. Well, a 10th in Verstappen's case, but just thousands for Hulkenberg. So this is gonna probably once again turn into a fairly interesting race. Now, we'll have to have a look at degradation expectations here, but we might go for a little bit more of an aggressive one this time. Although, as you can see, doing a one-stopper is fairly reliable. It is fairly doable. So I'm a little bit unsure how I want to do this, honestly. But I think we might do something like this, where we just run it aggressive from the get-go. And this is going to put us kind of on the edge in terms of degradation. But it is something we can do. The other option is that we do something like this. And that wouldn't give us as much time. Or rather, it would actually give us a little bit more time. So we could do this. That's going to keep us on those mediums for a very, very long time. And I think what would be better if we want to do this would be to, instead of using the hards later, we just use the hards first. And if we do hards, full attack, into some mediums that we can basically stay on till the end, like so. And as you can see, we can even run them in a conservative or light fashion. That would allow us to, well, kind of save a little bit of time, but it would allow us to have tires that can attack when we need to. So I think we're just going to do a very, very kind of standard one-stopper here. The degradation is low. And if we take a quick look at tires before we actually make these assumptions, that would be good too. It is an incredibly short pit lane, 19 seconds. There is a 5-10 difference between the mediums and the hards, and it'll take you, well, a few laps here to get that sorted out. 300 difference, so 17, 18 laps. That's not great. And the soft to medium is about 15, so if we could, potentially going for a tree stopper wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So let's try and set that up and see what we can do. Because we could go for the hard stay in the middle, and then we add a soft towards the end. That is an incredibly aggressive strategy, but it is also a very viable strategy around here. So kind of hard to pick what would be best. It's best in terms of pace by about 5 seconds. But of course, if we get stuck in traffic, it's not going to matter much anyways. This would be a strategy that allows us to take advantage. I think we're going to split the strategy here. We're going to put Magnussen on this one. We're going to be incredibly slow at the starting few laps here, but by running attack, we should be able to make up for it. And I'm thinking we're going to put Hulkenberg on the attack strategy, so to speak. And that should keep things somewhat interesting, because now we have two drivers on different strategies. This is a little bit worrisome, so we might end up running it on aggressive. Doesn't really lose much, just a second. But yeah, it should be a lot quicker than the base strategies. And I'm curious what the AI is going to pick here on hard difficulty, honestly. So let's just get everything set up. We are going to run full attack on the first stint, because as I said, deg is fairly low here, which makes a one-stopper with attack viable. So let's see what we can do. 2 versus 1 stop. Let's see who comes out on top.
The fans here in Melbourne are all set. As are the
Rather a 3-stinter than a 3-stopper. Yeah, mediums, softs, kind of good for us here. Means that won't be that much of a discrepancy. Basically, our tires will not be that much worse than the rest of the fields. Magnussen did fall down here. That is to be expected. And honestly, the best we can probably do here is ask him to let Hulkenberg by when an opportune moment arises. Because right now he is kind of holding up Hulkenberg.
Okay, ramp mode push. Yep.
There isn't much we can do about that. Science on soft tires will also be quite fast, particularly now in the early few laps when they are pushing everything they have. But all in all, not the worst start. We might be losing out a little bit to Red Bull. We'll have to see if we can recover that. And for Sainz here, on those soft tires, he's going to be a little bit of a tough nut to crack. But yeah, let's see if we can chase him down. Magnussen is going to be fairly slow here, due to the fact that I mentioned that we are on the hard tires. They're 5 times slower. Bit of a risk to go on them this early, but I think it's a risk that will pay off later on in the race. Let's see how things look once we get closer to Hulkenberg's first pit stop. So Magnussen has just had a bit of an incident. He ran wide and he damaged his underfloor. So
Some small floor damage right hand side.
that's not great. Hulkenberg too has been kind of bogged down by traffic, so we'll have to try and get a attack running at one point. But as you can imagine, this is making things a little bit more difficult. But yeah, Hulkenberg gets the overtake done. Magnussen with underfloor damage as well as hard tires is going to be fairly slow here, but we'll have to try and manage it. And we've had the first red flag of the season. Magnussen has an incident, and this looks like everything kind of gone type of incident, so that is not great at all.
Let's watch these cars as they head into turn 10.
This is the back.
The car makes contact.
Pretty hefty whack, but I would assume that is tires on to wall, so maybe not as bad, but there were sparks. So let's hope it's gearbox and not engine. That's all I can really pray for here. This does mess with the strategy just a bit, let's be honest. And I think what we're going to do here is adjust in a bit of a weird way. We are going to go with hard tires, but I think the best option that we have right now is go with softs. Because I should really have had a look at what this better strategy would be. We don't really want to go back out here on these mediums. They are still fairly healthy at 82%, but this does put us in a bit of a pickle. So I think for Hulkenberg, we have two options here. Change this to a one-stopper with a hard to a soft, which we could do, or go very aggressive with hard and two softs. I think we're just going to put him on the hard for now, because we don't really have any other options. But yeah, that is unfortunate for Magnussen. Red flag out. And I'm curious what the rest of the grid does here. So we're on hards. Well, not Verstappen. Red Bull's on hard. Perez. Verstappen on softs. And what I want to just have a quick look at here is, yeah, there's only one other car on the hards with us, along with Perez and Leclerc. So three cars on soft tires. It's not great. But what I want to have a look at here now quickly is just what are we doing in terms of strategy. So we can go and just push these hards as much as possible. And they say jump onto a soft tire, run it on light. That is viable. Or we run them as hard as possible and then we jump onto two soft tires. That is me hitting the wrong button. There we are. And how is that going to look in terms of potential degradation? It looks like we're going to get a little bit too much of it. So this isn't actually going to bring us to the finish line proper. So I think this would be the play, potentially. What would give us the best lap times here? Probably something like this. So this is just 2 seconds quicker. So it's not massively quick or anything. I think this is going to be what we do. Just do the hard stint, try and get as much out of these hards as we can, which is going to be difficult. And then, and then try and take advantage. But yeah, a bit unfortunate that we had that incident. Nothing we really can do about it now, though. Magnussen with a bit of an unfortunate afternoon. He ran wide, got the underfloor damage, and then he decided that that wasn't enough. And he wanted to wreck more of his car. But yeah, decent restart. We hold on to position even while we're on the hard tires. That is great. And now we'll have to try and make up some positions, see if we can catch the Red Bulls, because they now have a pretty good advantage over us. They have a huge chance to really get ahead, so to speak. But yeah, we shall allow time to pass, and we'll be working on getting away forwards. Bit of a yellow flag there. Bottas ran wide, nothing that will have a big effect on us. Gonna need to harvest a little bit here. We are in a potential DRS train, so it's not too bad. DRS will be opening, I believe, at the end of this lap. So we just want to kind of stay where we are and make sure that we do not lose that gap to Sainz. That would be nice, but yeah, we are we're struggling a little bit at the moment. The Haas definitely not being a good choice around here. And the RS opened, and Russell immediately got us. So I think we're going to recharge. I think we're going to try and play things a little bit slower. And then we'll see if we can get the overtakes down, get back up a little bit more before we go to the soft tire. So I'm actually thinking of taking a pretty drastic gamble here due to the fact that we are stuck in the DRS train. We're not making any progress. We lost about 5 seconds to Verstappen and Perez. The Haas definitely was not the go-to. So what I'm thinking is that we are going to do something a little bit cheekier, in the sense that we're going to be pitting now onto a set of soft tires, and then we'll pit another time onto another set of soft tires. And while it is theoretically slower, we already lost those 5 seconds. This is supposed to be 7 seconds quicker, 5 seconds quicker. We're losing time right now because we're running behind other cars. So we might just end up pulling the trigger and kind of putting ourselves in harm's way by doing this. Because let's face it, if we do pull the trigger and pit, we are still going to have to deal with DRS trains. But these DRS trains are from slower cars. And hopefully we can get a little bit of, stuff done while running in clean air. So it is a bit of a gamble to do this, but it is a gamble that I'm willing to take to be able to fight for, well, position higher up the board a little bit more readily. So let's go ahead and just do this. It is going to be, as I said, a bit of a gamble, but it should be a interesting one. Because as I said, we're stuck. We have been trying to get by, we can't do it. If we don't get by in a reasonable amount of time, it's just going to keep getting worse. It is risky because any red flag here is going to completely derail the operation, so to speak. But I think it is going to be worth it just from a perspective of gaining on the teams in front. We have pushed the tires a little bit too much, honestly. Didn't get to turn them down as quick as I'd like. But we should be able here to, well, more reliably catch up to the cars in front. Perez and Verstappen are switching fastest lap. We're 10th behind that. And that is with them kind of DRSing off each other. So we are going to be quick. We need to just get within 19 seconds as a start so we can run in clean air. And we're also going to go ahead and do a little bit of harvesting here. But I think Hulkenberg, unless they're running in tandem side by side, will not have too many problems getting the overtakes done. And that will also help with building confidence a little bit higher. So this little gamble of mine is probably not going to be paying off. We are getting closer to the pit stop. But at the same time, the other cars have started pitting. And Gasly, Verstappen, Ocon, all three of these have come out ahead of us. So that is terrible news. But yeah, we did end up getting held up by De Vries and Rick. They end up running a lot of side-by-side. And that really, really slowed us down. So yeah, probably would have been better to just sit where I was behind Russell and the Ferrari of Sainz. It most likely would have paid off better in the long term. So did a bit of a gamble, didn't pay off. Now we're going to have to try and salvage it, which is going to be difficult. Everyone is on new tires with the exception of Leclerc and Russell. So as you might expect, I put myself in a bit of a sticky situation here, which is very unfortunate.
We've had a crash. What happened there?
Just add insult to injury, so it looks like the Alphas had a bit of an incident. Oh yeah. That's at least one of them out. Probably both, I think. Yeah. So, virtual safety car, which slows us down even more. But yeah, we're kind of lacking the top speed needed for these tracks for a start. That is hurting us, and Leclerc now gets a kind of free stop under the virtual safety car. But yeah, I think we might actually end up outside of the points for this one. And that's going to be just me being kind of stupid. That's the best I can describe it. I've been a little bit stupid with strategy. I had an idea. I thought we would just fly by everyone. So probably a little bit too focused on the Perez Verstappen angle. And not on the fact that I should play a little bit safer, just so that I am kind of safe here with my own choice of strategy. So it's unfortunate. Rather bad strategic choices. I had a few of them lately. So might need to just go back to the standards or the basics, so to speak. This one did not work out. Could probably work it out better if we had a car with more top speed. So I might need to change my design philosophy a little bit if I want to change my strategy. Because the way that it works is that the attack strategies work incredibly well with a attack aggressive strategy. But because we're lacking top speed, it might not work as well in the event that we are using strategies that don't kind of employ that too much. So yeah, you might. Well, I did attack at the start of the race, but we were on the wrong time for that. We get held up. Probably should just have gone medium. Got a little bit hung up, too much hung up in trying to do a one-stopper. But yeah, not much we can do at this point other than trying to catch the cars in front and try and get back up into the points. I think it might be viable. We have 12 laps to do it. Let's see how it pans out for us. And to make matters worse, another red flag here. I don't know exactly who has been involved, but not Paris or Verstappen. It's Albon and the McLaren. Okay. Not the best of angles. But it's also the cars that we just passed, so that could have been us. But yeah, that is unfortunate. I think we don't really have any choice there. We're just going to have to go for the older... Well, it is the best choice, the older soft there. And just go full attack. Try and make up as many places as we can. But yeah, with that red flag, definitely would have been the best option to just sit where we were. So, we took a gamble. It backfired. Nothing I can do but take responsibility, so to speak. But yeah, let's see if Hulkenberg has any chance of getting something done on the restart. Already getting assaulted a little bit, but he did get Alonso. That's a good start, honestly. Question now is, how many more can we get before the end of the race? Running full attack. And we will till the end. I think most cars will, since it's hard difficulty. They do choose a lot better strategies. It's a lot of a different experience to standard, actually. But yeah, we have the Ferrari and the Merc running side by side, making overtaking very difficult, if not impossible. So I think we're just going to go neutral here on the energy, because as long as they run side by side, there's no chance of us getting any sort of overtake. It's going to be very difficult. I think we might even try and harvest a little bit here. And we are going to have to turn off that harvest if we end up, losing out in terms of pace. But getting energy back up while they fight wouldn't be the worst idea ever. And they have kind of gotten back in line at the moment. So let's turn that back up to neutral. Let's see if we can have a bit of a lunge down the inside maybe. Nah, covered. But it is nice to see that we are trying things. And I will give deploy on the main straight. Although, let's be honest, we don't have a lot of top speed, so probably will not turn to anything. But we might as well try. We're going to have to try. And looks like he's sending it. Very, very nice. Turn it back up to neutral for a little bit. Go a little bit of harvesting here. To get that energy back. But how many more positions can we get back here? Wouldn't think too many. Tires are hot, I know. But that is fine. They'll last till the end, I would think. Yeah, we're basically pushing them all the way to the limit. We can go a little bit aggressive here to cool them up a little bit. But yeah, we are pushing these tires all the way to the limit, and we should apparently have deployed here. See if we can get him on the second, because now DRS is going to make the overtakes a lot more difficult. So we're going to have to try and set the overtakes up in twisty sections, get close, and then just step out, put some pressure on Leclerc to maybe fall out of the train. But the train is up to Stroll at the moment, so that's going to be very, very difficult. Yeah, I think we're just going to go back to harvesting. Even while running aggressive, we're still kind of cooking these tires a little bit more than we're comfortable with. But again, so is everyone. Let's remind you, we started on 1 softs here. And we kind of have the same level as everyone else. But yeah, not much else we can do other than just push it to the limit. But for the time being, we are going to have a little bit of trouble getting, as I said, overtakes done. We are lacking top speed. That's why we got stuck in DRS train to begin with. So honestly, in retrospect, the better strategy here would be to have started on a soft tire or a medium tire. Just go in full attack, try and create that gap with the Red Bulls, and then make some moves from there. That would have been most likely a far more efficient strategy in taking control of this race. But instead, we had an incident with Magnussen. I downed myself with Hulkenberg, and we ended up picking the probably worst strategy available to us by having him pit early and then getting stuck for 3-4 laps behind the Alpha Tauris. That did not help, so it's my fault. Again, Probably did a little bit of a desperation move there. I wanted to beat the Red Bull so that we didn't fall too far behind. It backfired horribly. And now we're kind of paying the price here. So final lap. We have gotten Leclerc. But I don't think we're going to be getting anything else here, unfortunately. Yeah, that looks to be it. Gap is just a little bit too big. But yeah, a bit unfortunate, as I said. I would have really liked to have done better, honestly.
Okay, that's the flag.
But sometimes things just don't go your way. And today was one of those days where it just didn't work out for us.
Nico Hulkenberg's put it all together.
That is how it is. Alright, so result here. We end up in 7th. We have 1-2 from Red Bull. We get pushed down to 3rd and 4th. They have a huge gap at the moment. Constructors here, 46 points ahead. That is a huge amount, but they go most of those points over this race where I admittedly made a few silly mistakes. So can only blame myself. We do lose some money from not having fulfilled sponsor objectives, which also is fine. Rowing design is completed. The side pod design is completed. But what we're going to do now is just set the car up for Baku. Because at this point, we are going to kind of need a strong showing there in order to, well, get back into it. I do feel like, as I said, probably have been wasting a little bit too much. I probably shouldn't be playing so many difficulties because mentally, this was not a good race from me. I'll admit it right away. But yeah. Signs, we did get 2 of them done. Let's have a look at them and what they, well, look like, rather. I believe it was side pods, and this one is a fairly sizable upgrade. We are sacrificing engine cooling, but we're getting 0.9 kph back that we have lost. So component wear is going to be a bit of an issue, but at the same time, this is going to be worth it, is what I'm thinking, for just that amount of top speed. If it was from 60 to 50, I'd be doubtful, but this is from 67 to 57, and I can accept that. I might not like it, but I can accept it, so that's fine. This chassis too, we aren't going to be adding it to anything because we're already losing a lot of engine cooling from our other shenanigans, if you will. So what we are going to do is just make one more suspension. We do have a suspension project in the works, I believe. That'll be done in 12 days. We should be able to just rush to suspension for Azerbaijan. So instead of making another one, we'll just wait with that. And rowing here, we're currently making one, but yeah. I think what we're going to do here is just make another few projects where we are working on mainly the top speed aspect and maybe one of the cornering aspects as well. But yeah, we are getting there where it's not a huge amount of boost, let's be honest, but every little bit helps here. So let's get that running normal. And the other design that we want to make is probably a side pod or chassis one, but side pod does seem to be the better option. Get that engine cooling, drag reduction, and airflow middle up. Get the rest of the things down. Again, this is probably not the one that we're going to use, but even this one would give us a huge amount of kph compared to what we currently have, and would lose just 2%, well, 1.6% versus 10%. So this might actually be one that we end up using. So yeah, it's a bit difficult to kind of decide what we should be doing at the moment. But I think this is going to be, hopefully, a car that we can get something done with come Baku, which has usually been a very good race weekend for us. Both in this game and the previous one. Wind tunnel data concern. Is this the moment where I risk it? 9 days for that suspension. Additional 8 days brings us to 17. We'll have it 5 days before the race, but this is not the super suspension, so it doesn't really matter much. That does mean that we're going to have to take one of these slots and make an extra suspension. I think we're just going to prove the investigation. I feel like it is safer, because anytime I've denied it, it has been the problem got worse, and now you are in trouble. So we're just going to play it a little bit safe. I did forget to set up the pit crew after the last race, though. That is a little bit frustrating. Well, they're at least well rested. Braking and accuracy, I'll be happy with that. But yeah. Did forget to set it up. No wonder they are slacking. But again, mentally, mentally not in the best space after the, well, terrible choices that I made. But now though, let us get this pit crew set up. We'll try and get some of that time shade off our pit crew for this month. And hopefully Kambaku will be able to have some decent speed to our pit crews here. Yeah, we are resting fairly well because we're doing just gym. And even then, the numbers here aren't going up particularly fast. So 2% extra gain of fatigue per month is not terrible. And getting this down by 10th before Baku would basically be worth it. So I'm very happy. This is going to put us over the edge though, so we'll do it like that. Have a rest day. Then we'll put in a few more gym sessions before we do a little bit of engineering and a little bit of the building. So this should be decent enough plan. And we can even do a little bit more on the engineering and car building side. There we go. 9 is a little bit too high before a sprint weekend though, so I think we'll skip this one. 4%, that's a little bit better. And this should do the trick here. We're going to end up with, as you can see, few points gained here. We're kind of just keeping the chance of mistake where it is. But we're losing 700s of estimated pit stop time, which is good. Car building as well. But yeah, we're going to have I think we're going to have a tough time this year just maintaining that pit crew. And as I said, sometimes I do forget to fix the pit crews after races, and that is terrible. But it does also secure the fact that we are going to be able to rest the crews a lot. Now, this is terrible news. So, Magnussen did crash. Gearbox did take a huge amount of damage, but 50% to ERS and engine is also terrible as compared to the other cars. So, not too terrible then, because this one is a 64, 67. We could have had a way worse crash, let's be honest. 10 to 15% after a crash on engine and ERS. That's actually happy days. It does mean that we are going to most likely take an engine penalty going into Baku. No, we're not going to take a penalty. We're just going to be switching the engine. We're not going to be buying a new one. Why did I think that switching to one of the other engines that we have would give me a penalty? That would be silly. But yeah. Kind of on my report, we're still first in cornering. But we do need to get that top speed up a little bit. And the sideboard that we are making should help with that problem. Okay, suspension, we're going to have to make one of these, as I said, just to be on the safe side. The front wings are good. The rear wings are probably could do with a little bit of upgrade. Just got to make 4 of these. It's a little bit of wasted money, let's be honest, because we will have 6 of the previous version. But it is a small upgrade, so we might as well go ahead and invest in it. But yeah, I think we are caught up then. Wind tunnel data concern. Did indeed discover a fault. Okay, so if I denied it, we would have been in trouble later on. Good to know. Let's see. I do think that we have gotten some of the new pieces, mainly the sidepod. And it doesn't actually bump us up in terms of the top speed. As you can see, it doesn't really bump us up at all. But it is going to bring us a little bit closer, and it is Baku. We're going to need that extra bit of top speed. Let's be perfectly honest. That extra bit of top speed is actually going to come in clutch. Front wings and chassis are good. We are doing a front wing right now, so keeping this at 4 is fine. I believe. So yeah. New regulation mode. Minor technical changes. Getting 5% across the board would probably not be terrible. 10% wouldn't be bad either, so we'll vote for that. 10% because the AI seems to just have worse time dealing with changes than the player does. So we might need every advantage here because we are struggling somewhat. And that is, again, a bit of a concern for me. Yeah, design research front wings. Let's put more engineers on this because we can. And the suspension area isn't actually an upgrade now that I think about it. So I don't know why I thought I used CFD time on the suspension. We should just go ahead and make one more right away. And let's see, did we get that second sideboard? We did. Let's put it on the car. And even if we go into car analysis right now, that almost 1 full kph did not boost our top speed at all. And the Red Bulls here have actually increased their top speed a little bit. We're still 2 kph behind. That's better than 3. Also, they've improved the DRS. Cornering wise, it's still a little bit behind us, so it's not all terrible, but the engine cooling it is going down below, well, worrying levels. Let's just put it like that. And let's have a look at this suspension if it's actually something that we want to upgrade, and we can't at the moment, so just have to leave it as be. I do think, however, that we are going to be working on getting a chassis that can do drag reduction engine cooling a little bit better. And while it might look like we are kind of forsaking the cornering right now, it should be at a high enough level where we are starting to see diminishing returns to some degree. So I'm thinking we're going to do this, get that top speed, acceleration up and running, get that engine cooling going as well. And it's just a design for building the car this year. Idle scouts, idle engineers, that's fine. We can now start doing research. The 5% vote went through, which is not positive for us, but should still be okay. Let's be honest, it's not a big deal. Okay, we're not getting anything else done before Baku. Not anything done in terms of here. We're going to get that extra suspension, but honestly, that is a-okay. And I think we're going to have to, unfortunately, end it here, because I start early tomorrow, and I need to get to work. So, yeah, let us get this sorted. Well, I don't need to get to work. I need to get some sleep before work, which probably you can hear that I am just a slight bit tired at the moment, but that is fine. Okay, I think we are good on car parts. We're just going to double check the warehouse just to be on the safe side. Can put this new rear wing on for both cars, a little bit of a boost, but again, every little thing counts here. Suspension, this would be a small upgrade, but we're losing some brake cooling, so it wouldn't be a terrible thing to put on the car. It would actually increase our top speed a little bit compared to our rivals. And since we do have 80% brake cooling to begin with, we could sacrifice that little bit of a percentage to get a little bit more top speed into the car. It's going to make life a lot simpler. So we might do that, but we'll do that next time. We'll leave it here up one day before the race weekend. We'll get everything set up for Baku next time. Hope you still enjoyed the video, even though, as I said, terrible strategic choices. The double reds didn't, well, the second red did kind of help us. The first one didn't. But yeah, let's see what we can do next time. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and hopefully I can come back from this. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.